So, good evening, friends. Welcome back. Uh, we are discussing a very important topic of this paper 4 of our CA final syllabus, direct tax laws and international taxation. And we are discussing about income tax authorities. Who all are income tax authorities, what are their powers, what they can do, what they cannot do. All these things we are trying to understand, starting from the nomenclature of authorities, what are the different layers, what are the different hierarchies. This is all what we have discussed in, say, the last session, starting from CBDT till this income tax officer, then tax recovery officer, and income tax inspector. Some typical names we have discussed: Principal Director General of Income Tax, PDGIT, Principal Chief Commissioner of Income Tax, PCCIT, and all those ideas. Okay. The last discussion, we have started our discussion about a very important aspect of this whole income tax, that is income tax search and seizure, what is called income tax raid. So let's continue our discussion about this income tax search, income tax raid first of all. Then we will be talking something about a miniature version of this income tax search, that is survey of income tax, and then we will discuss some other issues related with this income tax authorities. Okay. Okay. So just to generate a quick recap of whatever we have covered with respect to search, so as to pick up that thread for our further discussion on this topic. So we have tried to generate a complete life cycle of search, from where it starts, what happens during the course of search, what are various other connected provisions related with the search. So we had this discussion that this whole process of search begins with issuance of search warrant, what is normally called search warrant. In legal term, they call it authorization for search. Now, the very first requirement: who can issue this authorization for search? So any officer up to the level of CIT or DIT, Director of Income Tax, or Commissioner of Income Tax, they all are by default authorized to issue the search warrant. In certain cases, even additional director, joint director, additional commissioner, or joint commissioner may also issue a search warrant, only if they are empowered by the CBDT, only if they are empowered by the board. Generally, they do not have this power. Up to CIT level, it is a general power, and there is no special empowerment needed. But below CIT level, down two level further, additional and joint, they can also issue if they are empowered by the board. So that was the very first idea, that the authorization for search. Now, for issuing the search warrant, for issuing this authorization, the officer should have information in his possession based on which he is able to generate a reason to believe that there is some concealment of income, some default by some person. What kind of defaults would lead to this such authorization? That if a summons would be issued to a person, he would not be responding to it. A summons has already been issued and he has not responded. And the most important one is this C point, that he is in possession of any books of accounts, documents, valuable article, money, bullion, jewelry, etc., which is undisclosed for income tax purposes, based on which some undisclosed income can be located. If there is any such information in the possession of officer, which generates a reason to believe that there are any of these kind of defaults by a person, then the search warrant, authorization for search, can be issued. Now we had this discussion also. Once this search warrant has been issued, then what can be done? What all are the powers during the course of search? Okay, so law says that the authorized officer who has been authorized by that authority who has issued this search warrant, so this authorized officer may enter and search any building, place, vessel, vehicle, aircraft, etc. He may break open the lock. He may search any person who is there in that premises, who has just came out of that premises, or who is about to go into that premises. All these persons can be searched. Then, with respect to all these money, bullion, jewelry, valuable article, etc., that authorized officer may make a note or inventory, etc., seize any books of accounts, other documents, money, bullion, jewelry, etc. He may do a seizure also. Seizure, that means taking the physical possession, taking all these items with him. So if a cash has been found, a stack of cash has been found, he can seize that particular cash and take that cash with him in his office. Okay. The only restriction is this: if something is part of my stock in trade, if it's a jeweler's shop, then the jewelry which is forming part of stock in trade, that cannot be seized. With respect to books of accounts, he may place marks of identification of them. He may make copies of them. We already discussed, he may seize these books of accounts, documents, etc. Then he can also examine a person on oath. I have mentioned this thing very clearly. Examination on oath is a very, very special power. Normally, this is available with courts only. But in the case of search, the officer has been given a power. He can examine a person on oath regarding whatever information he has gathered during the course of search. Okay. Now, other issues during the search. One or two these points we have already discussed, and then remaining issues we will be discussing today. So we have developed an idea about this constructive seizure. If something cannot be physically removed because of weight, volume, quantity, etc., you are authorized to seize it. But because of this problem, you cannot physically remove it. Then what you can do, the officer can do, is to go for the constructive seizure. He can simply give instruction to the owner that you will not be dealing with all these items without my permission. This is considered to be a constructive seizure. And like actual seizure, constructive seizure also cannot be done with respect to my stock in trade. Then, I think we have covered this particular slide also. This authorized officer who is actually carrying out the search may require the service of any police officer or any central government officer also. Not the state government, but any central government officer. Okay. He may also take the services of any outside person, any other entity which is approved by this commissioner, chief commissioner, principal chief commissioner level. Okay. So any other person, any other entity, if approved by higher officer, services of these entity can also be taken. Say, for example, they may need a computer expert during the course of search. There is some, say, information in cryptic form, or some passwords need to be recovered. So they may take, say, services of any computer expert. By taking approval of the higher authority, they may take services of any other person also. So this is what we already had a discussion in our earlier session with respect to the search. Now let's continue this discussion about search further. What all are the provisions related with this income tax search? Okay. This is a simple clarification which Act gives us, that the provision of Code of Criminal Procedure relating to search and seizure shall apply to income tax search and seizure also. See, this whole search and seizure is a very common situation with respect to criminal issues. Okay, the police department, the police officer does have a, say, very great amount of power with respect to all this search and seizure. Given under that criminal procedure code. Now, income tax says that similar provisions would be applicable even with respect to income tax search and seizure also. So, say for example, this is not part of our subject, but just to generate that clarity in mind, we must have read, we must have seen in the movies also that if anybody attacks on a police officer or anybody denies any information to a police officer, that person can be sent to jail. So similar position may happen here in income tax search also. The officer who is doing this particular search and somebody tries to stop him, somebody tries to say, exercise force on this income tax officer. So this person would be punished in the similar manner as there would have been a case with respect to police search or something like this. So law very simply says that the provision of Code of Civil Procedure, criminal procedure would be applicable with respect to income tax search and seizure also as they apply to any other kind of search. Okay, now this is important. This is very, very important provision. Examiner keep on framing question on this particular aspect. It's a small but a very, very relevant issue. Issue of jurisdiction. We had this discussion in the last session also. Income tax authorities can issue any order, any instruction, any authorization only in those cases where they have a jurisdiction. Okay, like an income tax officer, even if at a commissioner level, sitting in Guwahati, cannot issue any instruction, any authorization for me who is sitting somewhere in Indore. Okay, so you do not have a jurisdiction over me. So even in case of search also, the authorization, the search warrant would be issued by this higher level officer, PDGIT, DGIT, PCCIT, CCIT, something like this. Then they can obviously issue the search warrant only in respect of those places which are within their geographical jurisdiction. Okay, they can issue search warrant with respect to those persons also who are residing in their geographical places or whose place of business is there within their geographical jurisdiction. Now, this creates a practical problem sometimes. To resolve that practical problem, these two clarifications have been given. So, what are these practical problems? Let's try to understand this, and then we will see how this has been resolved. So the first case, what they are saying, that where any building, place, vessel, etc., is within the jurisdiction of any PCCIT, CCIT, PCIT, CIT, etc. But such authority has no jurisdiction over the person being searched. Now, say for example, there is a commissioner sitting somewhere in Guwahati or in Chandigarh or any part of India. There is a person who is having a place of business within the jurisdiction of Guwahati Commissioner. The place of residence of this person happens to be in Jaipur. So, this Guwahati Commissioner has issued a search warrant with respect to that particular person for search of all his properties. All his properties located in all over India, because he has got the jurisdiction over person. So he has issued the search warrant that all the properties of this person in India that can be searched. So income tax department knows that this person has got say property somewhere in Jaipur. So search warrant for that property has also been issued. Now the search team has came to Jaipur. After coming to Jaipur, they found that the very same person has got one more property situated in Jaipur. They want to search that other property also. What will be the problem? Now they do not have a search warrant for that other property. Now what they are required to do? Somebody has to again go back to Guwahati, the original commissioner who has issued the search warrant, tell him, sir, there is one more property of this person in Jaipur. Please issue a search warrant for that other property. That will take time. And meanwhile, the person who is owner of that property, he may take out all the say documents, etc., lying in that property. So the purpose would not be served. So then, what the search party can do? They have already got a say search warrant for that particular person. So they can approach the local commissioner, the local PCIT, Jaipur CIT, tell him that, sir, with respect to this person, we already have a search warrant issued by the Guwahati commissioner. Now, this person has got other property also for which we do not have this search warrant. You please issue a search warrant for that particular property. You do not have jurisdiction over this person, but this property falls within your jurisdictional area. So you please issue a search warrant based on the search warrant originally issued. It's a bit complicated matter to understand, but again, trying to understand it from a say common sense perspective, the practical difficulty perspective, I hope you will be able to form a clarity about what exactly is this provision. So now what they are saying, where any building, etc., is within the jurisdiction of any PCCIT, etc. Take an example of a Jaipur CIT. But such authority has no jurisdiction over the person being searched. Person is having his place of business somewhere in Guwahati. So this Jaipur officer does not have a jurisdiction over the person. He does have a jurisdiction over that property. This authority may exercise the powers mentioned earlier, where he has reason to believe that any delay in getting the authorization from the original jurisdiction PCIT would create a problem. So this is plain and simple. The officer of that particular place may also issue a search warrant even if he does not have jurisdiction over the person. He has a jurisdiction over the place. With respect to person, the search warrant has already been issued by a different officer. The officer who is having jurisdiction with respect to the place, he may issue a search warrant. This is first case. Okay. Second situation, they are again say clarifying the same kind of position, where the search for any books of accounts, other document, assets, etc., has been authorized by any authority who is competent to do so, and the PCCIT, CCIT, PCIT, CIT, in consequences of information in his possession, has reason to doubt that they are hidden in some different building, place, etc. He may he may issue a search warrant to authorize person for search of that other building also. Okay, so he has got jurisdiction over the building, not over the person. The building has not been mentioned in the original authorization. The authority, the officer who is having jurisdiction over that building may issue a search warrant. It's a very, very practical situation, a very practical problem which arises during the course of search. In order to resolve that practical difficulty, this kind of clarification has been issued. Just to keep the things simple from an examination perspective, you can simply keep this thing in mind that if there is any search warrant which has been issued by any officer, any jurisdictional officer, based on this search warrant, other officers can also issue a search warrant, even if they do not have an exact jurisdiction in that particular case. But based on a search warrant issued by one officer, other officers can also issue such warrant in the very same matter. This other officer should not have a separate reason to believe or separate information in his possession as such. If one such warrant has been issued by one authority, other authorities are allowed to issue the search warrant in the very same matter. This is a say simplified version of this whole complicated provision, but which should be good enough for your exam understanding. So issue of jurisdiction. Okay. Now come to the third part of this whole search, the post-search matters. The first aspect, first step was search authorization. Search has been authorized. Then the second was actual conduct of search, how the search would happen, what are the powers available during the search, who all can be involved, whose help can be taken during the course of search, and all those things. So authorization has been issued. The search has actually been conducted. The team has come to the place, done all this search, break open the lock, taking the inventory, seizing the material, taking it with themselves and everything. Now comes the third stage of this whole life cycle, the post search matters. The search party, what we call generally, that search team is now back. They have done whatever they could have done. They have, say, made or taken the possession, seized the documents, taken the documents with themselves, taken the cash with themselves, taken the jewelry with themselves. So that particular phase is over. Now the next phase, once this search has been done, the search party is back to their offices, back to their places. Now what will happen? So post search matters. Once the actual physical search is over, then what will be the remaining provisions applicable? Let's try to develop a clarity about those aspects also, the post search matter. Okay, a very, very important aspect. Before going into the technicalities, let's try to generate a common understanding, common sense understanding. Say, for example, there is a document found during the course of search. And in that document, it is mentioned that this person has earned an income worth a crore of rupees. For example, some noting, something is written there. And then based on this noting, it can be concluded that this person has earned an income worth a crore of rupees. He has not paid taxes on that income. So this amounts to his undisclosed income, concealed income. Document is showing that there is concealed income. So obviously, income tax department would demand tax on that income, would be levying penalty also, would be charging interest and all those things. This will be very common response from the assessee side in this situation. We all can assume without knowing the technicalities of law, but a simple thought process would give us the solution that the person would be clearly saying, sir, this document is not mine. Very simple. The first answer would be this. So whatever is written, that is not correct. We have written it like this only, but not correct situation. This document does not belong to me. Say, for example, they have found a cash of say 10 crores of rupees. Now, income tax department will say that this cash is your undeclared income. So on this 10 crore rupees, they will be levying interest, they will be charging, they will be levying tax, they will be charging interest, they will be levying penalty. And sometimes this tax, interest, penalty all taken together may be more than the amount of cash which they have found. So it is cash worth 10 crore rupees, and it is possible tax, interest, penalty taken together, the person may be required to pay 12 crores. If this is the situation, then again, what that person can think, what that person can do, he can simply say, sir, this cash is not mine. Ultimately, I will be losing 10 crores by disowning that cash. But if I accept, then I'll be required to pay 12 crores by way of tax and interest and penalty. So I can simply refuse. What is called, I can simply disown that particular money or bullion or jewelry or valuable articles. So I don't know how they came to my place. Somebody must have kept it. Not mine, sir. You take it with yourself, but this is not mine. This will be a common kind of response. This will be a say natural response coming from that person who has been searched. To tackle this situation, now this provision. So in the background of this common sense understanding, now we need to read this particular provision, presumption. Provision says that when any document, any money, bullion, jewelry, etc., have been found during the course of such search, there would be certain presumptions. It will be presumed that it is like this only. So, what is the presumption available? They say where any books of accounts, other document, money, bullion, jewelry. This I think I have mentioned in the last session also. Writing as a good professional answer in examination, proper professional language. So with respect to all these income tax authorities, such etc., you will always found a group of words. If you write that complete group of words in your answer, this will definitely make a good impression on examiner. So what is that group of word? Money, bullion, jewelry, other valuable article. Keep in mind like this only. Okay. So where any books of accounts, other documents, money, bullion, jewelry, other valuable article or thing are found in the possession or control of any person in the course of search, it may be presumed. The income tax department would be presuming something. Okay, what is the impact of this presumption? That also we will discuss. But what they can presume? They can presume that such books of accounts, other documents, money, bullion, jewelry, other valuable article or thing belong to such person. If it has been found with you, it belongs to you. We will presume it. Meaning thereby that income tax department is not required to prove that this belongs to you. Assessee can always raise a question, so it has been found from my place, but what is the proof that that is mine? You give me a proof you have found it from my house, but you give me a proof that this cash belongs to me. Now rule says income tax department is not required to prove. They are allowed to presume that this belongs to you. Getting that idea, meaning of that presumption. So it will be presumed that these books of accounts, money, bullion, jewelry, etc., belong to such person. First presumption. Second presumption, the contents of books of accounts and documents are true. So fine, even if you assume that they belong to me, but whatever is written, there is no proof that this has actually happened. I have written in that particular document that I have received 50 crores rupees of cash from somebody as income. I have written. What is the proof that I have actually received this money? So you cannot treat it as my income. This can be an argument given. So again, they say that this is the second presumption. Whatever has been found from you, that belongs to you, number one. Whatever is written there, that is true. If it is written that you have received 50 crores, that means you have actually received 50 crores. We are not required to prove that whether you have actually received. If it is written there, we will assume that this is true. And then the signature and any other part of such books which are purported to be handwriting of a particular person can be assumed to have been written by that particular person. This is your diary, so we assume that whatever has been written, that has been written by you only. Okay, so this is the third presumption which can be taken. Whatever has been, whatever can be considered to have been, generally can be accepted to have been written by a person, this has actually been written by that particular person. Okay, first and second are more important. Whatever has been found from you, that belongs to you. Whatever is written in those documents, that is true. This is the presumption they will be able to take. Now, this all is a very, very high level, advanced level legal concepts we are trying to generate. When I am allowed to presume, that means I am not required to prove whether it is true or not. I can sorry, I can presume it to be true. Okay, so now you have to prove that this is not correct. If you want to say that this does not belong to me, then you have to prove based on documents and evidences and everything that something which has been found from your place does not belong to you. So try to understand the subtle difference. What is called as burden of proof? Who has got burden of proof? They are not required to prove that they are true. They are not required to prove that they are correct. I am required to prove that they are not correct. I hope you are getting that subtle difference. Okay. So they are allowed to presume that whatever has been found that belong to you. Now the last part, it's a rebutable presumption. Rebutable presumption, yeah, that means I can always challenge that presumption. But for challenging that presumption, I need facts, I need evidences. Simply by my saying that this jewelry is not mine, nobody is going to accept. They will presume that it has been found from your place, this belongs to you. Whatever is written there, that is actually the case. So if you have written that I have received 100 crores of rupees cash, we will assume that you have received 100 crores of income. You have to prove based on facts and other evidence that I have not received any such income. If otherwise it is written in a document, they will assume that it is true. So the very important aspect of this presumption during the course of search. Okay, so based on this, let's take an example. So what is the situation here? There is a search, है ना? And during the course of search, apart from other documents and records, jewelry worth 5 lakhs of rupees have been recovered, have been seized from the bedroom of one of the director. Now, what he is saying, the director is saying, sir, this jewelry is not mine. It belongs to my married daughter. The question you need to answer whether the contention raised by the director as to jewelry found from his bedroom will be acceptable. Now, one very important idea about say writing the examination, writing the answers in examination. In any legal situation, okay, be it income tax or be it GST or any other legal situation, your answer alone would not be sufficient unless it is supported by the relevant provision. If you want to say yes, then what is the provision? If you want to say no, then what is the provision? You need to mention it very clearly. Okay. So in this case, whether the contention raised by director would be acceptable, can we have some answers? Perfect. So we are having perfect. So we are having this answer in chat. The assessee has to prove, yes, it is not acceptable because of the presumption. The presumption is in the act is this, that whatever has been found from your place, it belongs to you. You want to say, sir, this is not mine, this is my married daughter, this is my, say, friend, this is my relative, this is my neighbor. Anything you want to prove, then you need to produce the evidences, the facts and evidences in that particular case. Simply saying that this is not mine is not going to save you. Okay. Why the contention is not acceptable? Because of that presumption which is there in the act. Because as per the provisions, if you can recall the exact section number, fair enough. If you cannot recall the section number in examination, just write as per the relevant provision of the act. Wherever any books of accounts, document, money, bullion, jewelry, other valuable article, etc. are found in the possession, now in your answer, you write all these words together as a group of words. That will make a good impression. So that's why I have said these group of words, always try to memorize them together. Okay, money, bullion, jewelry, other valuable article or thing, or any books of accounts, etc., are found in the possession of any person, then it will be presumed that same belongs to that person only. Okay, so simply raising the contention will not be acceptable because there is a presumption in the act allows income tax authority to presume that whatever has been found, it belongs to you only. Okay, so we are talking about this post search matter. Now the search is over. Everything is now happening, say for example, in the office of income tax department. The actual search was happening at the place of that assessee. Now the scene has shifted. Now the camera has moved from, say, assessee's residence, assessee's office to the income tax office. Everything is happening in the income tax office. So assessee is going to income tax office and telling, sir, you have taken this thing from me. They do not belong to me. Income tax officer is not going to entertain this kind of contentions. Okay. Next aspect. And a post such matter, just keep in mind what is the stage we are discussing. Now you have taken from my place number of documents, books of accounts, etc. You will be, income tax department would be analyzing all those documents, statements, books of accounts, etc. Would be raising number of queries to me based on this. It is written there, what is it, it is written there, what is that, and all those queries you will be asking from me. To answer all these queries of income tax department, I would be requiring copy of that document which you have taken. You will be saying to me, sir, it is mentioned in one of the diary that you have received 50 crores for Mr. So and so. Explain. So for explaining this, I will be requiring the copy. Whatever is the document you are referring to you, I definitely need a copy of that particular document. You have to taken all these documents with you. So to facilitate this, law creates the second provision. The person from whose custody any books of accounts, other document, etc. are seized. Now, here they are not talking about valuable article, etc., because they are talking about the copy of it. So obviously they are talking about books of accounts and other documents. That person may make copies thereof or take extracts therefrom. Now, take extracts used to be a case when all these technology was not there. So people used to write down manually everything. Now everything is technology. Earlier there used to be photocopies. Now you have all these scanners and everything. So you can make copies thereof. So law says that the person may make copies thereof or may take extracts therefrom. But the very important point is, this person can always say, where the search has been done, sir, you give me all those documents, I'll take them with me, I'll get it photocopied and return it back to you. And we all can understand what may happen if this is allowed. So you have taken all these documents, now I need to reply about them, so give all this bundle to me, I'll take them to a photocopy shop, get it photocopied and hand over everything back to you. This may be the argument given. How the law tackles this situation? They say these copies may be made, extracts can be taken only in the presence of the authorized officer or any other person empowered by him, and at such place and time as the authorized officer may fix. You can take copies. Where you will be making the copies, I will decide. Okay, the income tax officer will decide. Copies can be made at such place. Read this thing very, very carefully. Okay. At such place and time as the authorized officer may fix in this behalf. Okay, this is something very, very important. Practically, I can tell you what happens, not part of act as such, but practically what happens using this particular power, they sometime, because a number of documents may be huge, thousands and thousands of documents, they want me to bring a photocopy machine to the income tax office and get everything photocopied there only. And practically, so I have to actually hire a photocopy wala, take his machine on rent, take that guy with me in the income tax office and get everything photocopied, because law simply says the photocopy can be done at such place and time as the officer may fix in this behalf. Okay. So this is the second aspect of it. First, we have discussed post such matters we are discussing. So first, we have discussed about this whole, say, presumption. Second is about this copy. Now, meanwhile, we are having a query. There is certain limit of jewelry that can be kept without bill. Is that correct? Okay. Now, this you must have read in newspaper or somewhere here or there, something like this. See what happens with respect to jewelry. We already discussed, income tax officer has got the power to seize every money, bullion, jewelry, valuable article, etc., and take all those things with himself. Okay. Now CBDT has issued a circular with respect to jewelry that jewelry up to certain weight would not be seized depending upon members in the family, number of persons in the family. The authorized officer would not be seizing up to a particular quantity of jewelry. They have fixed certain limits, say 500 grams of gold with respect to each married woman in the family, 250 grams of gold with respect to every unmarried female in the family, and something like this. So some of these limits have been created by the CBDT just not to seize that particular jewelry. Up to that particular quantity, jewelry would not be seized during the course of search. This is what is the answer to your query. Seminathan, somewhere from south, I think. Okay, thank you. Okay, so copies of document. Now, the third aspect. So presumptions we have discussed, copy of document has been done. Now another issue would be these documents you have taken with yourself. Sir, how long you will keep all these things with you? Definitely, the question would come with respect to that money, bullion, jewelry, etc. also. Till how long you will be allowed to keep them with you? We will discuss that thing also separately. But before this, now say the idea is these all should be the natural questions coming to your mind. If you are able to generate that whole process in your mind, you will be able to connect in a better manner. You will be able to form a complete picture in your mind. So it's a very natural question which should come to the mind of everybody. So, okay, law has allowed them to take all these documents and everything with themselves. But sir, till when? How long they will be keeping it? One day or other, they have to give it back to me. So what is that particular period? Retention of documents ceased. Always try to learn. See, income tax is always about the real life situation. Everything which is happening in real life case, that is only what is handled by income tax. So always try to visualize that real life situation happening, and then what is the rule with respect to that situation. So in that whole search case, this has to be a question which needs answer. Retention of documents ceased. Till when they can keep it with themselves? What is the answer given by law? 1 month from the end of the quarter in which the assessment is completed. Ultimately, they will be making an assessment of my taxable income in whatever quarter that assessment has been completed, 1 month from the end of that particular quarter. Now, this is very simple. So, in a search which has been happened, say 1 or 2 years back, they have completed an assessment today on 20th of November 25. End of the quarter 31st December 25, 1 month 31st January 26. Whatever documents they have seized in this particular search, they will be required to return it back by 31st of January 26. Okay, so books of accounts and other documents seized are required to be returned by this particular period. Now, law creates an exception. These can be retained for a further period also. This is the normal period up to which you can retain. You can extend this retention also. But for this extension, A, you need to record your reasons in writing, why you want to retain, and you need to obtain an approval of the higher authority, CIT or above level, CIT or DIT, and above level officers. The approval is required to be obtained. Complying with these two conditions, you can retain extension the retention period. Okay, but in any case, the maximum retention would be 30 days after all the proceedings under the act. Assessment, appeal, all the proceedings have been completed. Beyond after the completion of that all the proceedings, maximum 30 days period would be available. This is the maximum time period up to which retention can be permitted even by the higher authorities. So retention of documents. Okay. Now come to another issue related with these documents only. We have discussed about what presumptions can be taken with respect to document, with respect to money, bullion, jewelry, etc. Okay. Then we discussed about that retention period also, for how long period those documents can be retained by the officer. Now there may be one more situation. First, generate that situation in your mind. See, documents are lying in my office, number of documents. If a search has happened in the at the place of a person, the documents would be, number of documents would be there. They can presume that all these documents belong to me. But even then, certain documents are very clearly showing that they are not my document, they belong to somebody else. Okay. They may continue to argue, no, 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 these are the documents belonging to you. But it is clear on the face of it, and I'll be able to prove it very easily. So these documents do not belong to me. Say, for example, you have found a bank statement. If bank statement is having name of a third person written on that bank statement, then very simply, yeah, this bank statement does not belong to me, this belong to any other person. Okay. So the point is, you may found document related to some other persons also. During the course of search on A, you may found document related with B. Now there is no search on B, search is on A. Now, what the officer who has conducted search on A would be allowed to do, he can hand over all these documents, the seized material, books of accounts and other documents, etc. He may hand over to the other officer who is having a jurisdiction over that third person. And now it will be treated as if there was a search even in case of that third person also. And here it becomes interesting. There is actually no search in the case of that third person. So third person is sitting enjoying in his office. Yeah, nothing has happened in my place. The search has happened at the place of my friend. I have got full sympathy with him, but fortunately, no problem at my end. The problem is this: in the search at my friend's place, some document related with me have been found. Now, the officer who has done the search, he will be sending these documents to my assessing officer, and now my case would also be treated as if a search has been done on me also. Okay, so this is what is the provision they have created, handing over of documents to the jurisdiction assessing officer. If any document, etc., or for that matter, money, bullion, jewelry, etc., also, I'm able to prove that they do not belong to me. So, what will happen? If any document I'm able to prove they do not belong to me, what will happen? The officer who has conducted the search, he will simply tear them off and throw it. यार ये अपने काम का नहीं है, doesn't have anything to do in my case. Since they have got the documents, they would like to make use of it at the departmental level, not by this officer, but by other officer who is having the jurisdiction over the person with to whom these documents, etc., are related. So handing over of the documents to the jurisdictional assessing officer, act has created a time period. Within a period of 60 days from the date of closure of search, these documents may be handed over to the actual original jurisdictional officer. Okay. So this is simply a case we can generate an example just to say develop a clarity over this particular aspect. So in the case of such, on the premises of same Ram Bharose Limited, papers were found in the drawer of an accountant relating to Shri Krishna Limited. Some ledger copies, some documents related with the Shri Krishna Limited. Okay. What action the officer shall be taking in respect of the seized papers related to Shri Krishna Limited? Whether this officer can start an assessment of Shri Krishna Limited, I do not have a jurisdiction. Whether I can simply tear them off, Yeah, not my concern. What he can do? Very simply, he will be handing over these documents to the Mumbai officer who is having jurisdiction over this Shri Krishna Limited. To that officer, these documents would be handed over, and then the whole process of whole assessment of Shri Krishna Limited would be done as if there is an actual search, even in case of Shri Krishna also. Actually, there was a search in the case of Ram Bharose, but now this will be treated as if there is a search even in case of Shri Krishna also. The document related with that other party would be handed over to that jurisdictional assessing officer. Okay, so try to link this whole idea with that presumption. Presumption is this: everything belongs to you. You are able to prove no, they do not belong to me, they belong to XYZ. What will happen? If you are able to prove that they belong to XYZ, all these things would be handed over to the officer having jurisdiction over XYZ. So it is not like this: anything found during the course of search would go west. It belongs to you. You will be answerable to it. It belongs to somebody else. The other party would get, say, assessed in respect to those documents, those material. Okay. So this is another aspect. We are discussing post-search matter. Huh? Now the playground has shifted. It is no more in my place at the assessee's place. It is at the income tax office. Now what is happening? So officer is presuming something. He is deciding to what extent these to be retained, whether the documents etc. are to be handed over to another officer. All these things are now happening in the income tax department officer. Okay. So Geeta is asking a question. In case of search and requisition, there is a block period. What is difference between them? If you are asking about difference between search and requisition, that we will be discussing shortly. See, this block period is a concept related with the assessment. Once that search basic process over, then there will be an assessment. There the concept of block period would come into picture. So whenever there will be a discussion about various types of assessment, then the search assessment would get discussed, and there this whole concept of block period would come into picture. Search and requisition we will be discussing shortly. Okay, now another issue which may come up. Again, just keep this thing in mind. This is everything happening post search. The actual search at the premises of assessee is over. Now after that, what all may happen? So now this is another aspect: the provisional attachment of the property. They have seized cash and money, bullion, jewelry, valuable article, etc. What may be done with respect to that immovable property, the buildings, the land, etc., owned by the assessee? There is a possibility that based on this search, there may be a huge liability on the assessee. Okay, assessee has also got an idea. Yeah, this has become very serious. I will be required to pay huge amount of tax. So before the tax and interest and penalty gets determined, let's do one thing. Whatever, say, cash and everything, so they have taken with themselves. Whatever land, building, etc. are there, let's sell them off and then run out from here. Okay. To avoid this kind of possibility, there is a concept of provisional attachment of the property for the purpose of protecting the interest of revenue and safeguarding recovery in such cases, so that the department can recover the tax, interest, and penalty. The income tax officer may order a provisional attachment of the property. provisional attachment, that means we are attaching this particular property. You will not be allowed to sell it now. You cannot dispose it off without our prior permission. So we are simply attaching your property. So during the course of search or seizure, or within a period of say 60 days from the end of the search, this provisional attachment can be ordered. The only requirement is there has to be a prior approval of the higher authority, PDGIT, DGIT, PDIT or DIT's say prior approval is needed for the purpose of this provisional attachment of the property. Okay, so just to safeguard the interest of revenue, just to ensure the recovery would not get hampered, they may order this provisional attachment of property during the course of search or within a period of say 60 days after the search. Now, till how long you will be continuing with this provisional attachment? It's a provisional attachment. You have to ultimately take a final decision. So maximum period of this provisional attachment is specified in the act is 6 months. Maximum up to 6 months you can order a you can have this provisional attachment of my property done. Okay, whenever you are ordering it, from there the 6 months period would be available to the department for this provisional attachment matter. Yeah, here there is no CIT. Good observation. Here there is no CIT, PCIT, only director level available. Just to give you again a say practical aspect of this whole thing. Wherever a search is there, the procedural aspect of search are handled by this Director General Office. So you will found this whole reference of say Director General, Principal Director General, Director, etc. only in search related matters. Other than such related matters, you will find only say commissioner, etc. So for this particular purpose, provisional attachment, because this is exclusively such related matter, so it is by PDGIT, DGIT only. The commissioner level officers are not covered here. Okay, so this is about provisional attachment of property. Okay, anything else? No, I'm not getting you clearly. Because the officers who have conducted the search, they are under the say operational control of Director General Office. So any approval, etc., they need to take in the post search matter. It will be for this say PDGIT itself. Yeah.
Sir, good evening, sir. What I'm asking is that only the procedural aspect, the director level of the things will come, right. And for that operational level, they will involve a commissioner and other things.
Right, absolutely right, absolutely right.
That is what I said in the chat box, but
okay,
I'm not put it in the shortcut. That's what I'm able to.
No, you are right. You are right.
Meaningful information.
Right. This is whatever actually the actual search related process that the director would get involved.
Okay.
Okay.
Got it, sir. Thank you so much. Please.
Okay. So this is about this provisional attachment. Okay. Now we come to another very important aspect. Now, say you have got all these documents and everything with you, the scene has shifted to the say in officer's place rather than from assessee's place. Who else you can involve in that whole process? During the course of search, you were allowed to take help of police and central government officers and other approved persons also. Now, once the search is over, then the authorized officer can always take a reference of a valuation officer. Say, the practical position would be, during the course of search, we have found good number of jewelry. Now, what is the value of that jewelry? Who will tell me? We have found papers related with the immovable property. You are the owner of so many real estate, so many immovable properties. What is the value of that property? Who will tell to me? as an income tax officer, how I will get information about value. So there is a specific provision with respect to valuation officer. Okay. During the course of search, or say after the search is over, within a period of 60 days, I may make a reference, income tax officer may make a reference to the valuation officer or any other person. Valuation officer are government officers, or any other person or valuer registered under any other law. You have got valuers registered under NCLT, number of other law also. Say share valuation is to be done, then probably a different expert would be needed. So plain simple kind of an idea, you can take the help of valuation experts. Valuation experts may be a say government valuation officer, or it may be any other valuer under any other law which is approved by the PDGIT, DGIT, etc., for the purpose of valuation of that value of that asset, whichever has been found during the course of search. For valuation of say these assets, etc., they can take the help of a valuation officer also. Okay, fine. Another issue related with this, something parallel to the search or something in the say in the mode of search as such, a special provision. Say, for example, the search has not been done by income tax officer, but a search has been done by a government, other government authority. This can happen. Okay. Say GST officers may also do a search. There is a search provision even in GST also. Police officers may also do a search. CBI and other police officers. So there are other different government authorities. They may carry out a search. Now, during the course of say other any procedure under any other law, if something related with the say undisclosed income of an assessee is located, search is being done by GST officer, and it is found that that person has done say crores of rupees of unaccounted sale. So GST officer would be definitely recovering GST on that unaccounted sale. There would be an income tax angle also. Income tax department would also like to say that since you have made a sale, there is an unaccounted, undeclared profit. On that profit, even income tax is also payable. So now the search has already been done by a say different authority. Law says, the provision says that now income tax department may call the documents information from that other authority with respect to search done by them, and then the case at the income tax department would be taken further as if income tax department has also done a search in that particular case. This is called power to requisition books of accounts, etc., when the documents or assets are in the custody of officer under any other law. Anybody else has, any other department has done a search, they have got say documents, assets with them, which is useful even for income tax also. So income tax officer may simply send a requisition to them that please hand over these assets, these documents to us, we would like to do an income tax assessment also. Then this will be treated as a case of a search done by the income tax department itself, though actually they have not done a search. Their search has been done by somebody else. Income tax department is simply making a requisition. This will also be treated as equivalent to a search case. Okay. So this is what is the provision. So where these top level officers, in consequences of information, they have reason to believe. Mind you, even for normal search also, what you require reason to believe. for this requisition deemed such kind of thing also, you require reason to believe. I have already mentioned there is a difference between reason to suspect and reason to believe. In examination, some words have to be written with specific peculiarity. If the word used here is reason to believe, then in your answer also it has to be reason to believe. So for this requisition also, what they say, where these higher level officers have reason to believe that books of accounts or other documents of any person to whom we can issue a summons is already in the custody of anybody else. We will be issuing a summons asking him to produce books of accounts, and he will be simply saying, sir, all my books of accounts have been seized by GST. I cannot produce it. You ask the GST department to hand it over to you. So these kind of situations are getting covered here. So when these officers have reason to believe that books of accounts, etc., are in the custody of any other authority under any other law, any asset representing undisclosed income, property, etc., are in the custody of again any authority under any other law, then the income tax officer, these higher level officer, may authorize any junior, any subordinate authority to make a requisition. The technical term which is used here is requisition. Practically speaking, it is simply writing a letter by the income tax authority to that GST officer that we have came to know that you have conducted a search on so and so person, you have seized the books of accounts, please hand over these books of accounts to us. Okay, so they will be sending a requisition to that other authority under that other law. For example, it may be GST officer, it may be customs authorities, it may be police, it may be PMLA, enforcement directorate, number of other government authorities are there. So an income tax officer may make a requisition to these authorities for handing over these books of accounts, money, bullion, jewelry, etc. to the income tax department. The practical situation would be, once this requisition has been made, all these documents, etc., have been handed over to me, to the income tax officer. The case of that person by the income tax department would then be conducted as if there is a search by income tax department itself. Though actually income tax has not conducted any search, but this would be treated as a search case even for income tax also. So this is what is the second part of it. On a requisition being so made that other authority, for example, you can read it, to simplify it, you can read it as GST authority. That will be easy to create a connect in the mind, that GST authority shall deliver the books of accounts, other documents, assets, etc. to the requisitioning officer. They can hand it over immediately, or when they feel our job is over, then we will be handing it over. So they will hand it over when they feel that it is not required by them anymore. Okay. The second part is important, where any such books of accounts, other document, assets, etc., have been delivered to income tax officer, they shall be treated. Sorry. They shall be treated as if seized by the income tax authority during a search, and all the provisions of the act shall apply accordingly. This will be taken as a search case by income tax department also. All the assessment, subsequent procedure, everything would be like as if we have also conducted a search. So this is about a special power of requisition of books of accounts. Okay. Another issue related with this, let's generate that complete cycle again. That higher authority has issued a search warrant. The search team has come to the place of assessee, conducted search, exercising all those powers of entering and breaking open and making an inventory and seizure and everything. They have taken number of documents, money, bullion, jewelry, valuable, etc., article, etc., with them. Now at the income tax officer's level, in the office of income tax department, what all is happening, we have discussed about the documents which they have taken with themselves. As an assessee, I can make copies of them, I can make extracts of them, uh, till what period they will be allowed to retain all those books of accounts documents, etc. That one aspect we have discussed. Another aspect would be about all those money, bullion, jewelry, valuable article, etc., which they have taken with themselves. What will happen to that? Whether story ends here, they have taken it with themselves and everything would be over? Obviously not. Okay, how this whole money, bullion, jewelry, etc. would be applied by the income tax department, whether I can demand it back, when I can demand it back, and all these issues related with this. Okay, see, again, practically speaking, you have taken my jewelry with yourself. This is my family possession. You have taken good amount of cash with yourself. I would like them to be back. I would like them to get them back. So, what will be the position? What are various provisions in that particular aspect? So, start thinking about this. Generate this idea in your mind that actually income tax department has seized from assessee's place. They've actually seized money, bullion, jewelry, valuable article, etc. Practically speaking, they will be seizing cash. They will be seizing jewelry. In a typical search case, you find these two items. You find good amount of cash, you find good amount of jewelry. So for the purpose of understanding, let's take these two as an example. Okay, the actual wording in your examination answer should be money, bullion, jewelry, valuable article or thing. For understanding purposes, we can always think in terms of money and jewelry, cash and jewelry. So how this will be handled now in a post search scenario? Department may recover certain amounts out of these assets. Or assessee may ask that, okay, adjust. Say, for example, cash you have taken with yourself, adjust some of my liabilities against this cash. So, assessee may feel that since cash is already there with the department, there is already an amount which is payable by me to the department. So, I can always ask the department to get an adjustment done. Sir, I was already required to pay you, say, 10 crores of rupees. You have seized 25 crores from my place. Adjust this 10 crores out of the 25 crores. So what all may be recovered out of such assets? Amount of any existing liability under this act or under the Black Money Act. Okay, so there was an assessment done in the case of assessee 2 years back. The tax in respect of that assessment is still payable. Now, what will happen practically? If I delay my tax, if I continue to delay my tax payment, that interest cost would keep on rising. They will be charging interest from me also for delay in tax payment. So what I may realize as a prudent businessman, as an assessee, what I may think, I have to in any case pay this 2 crores rupees to the income tax department. They have already taken 10 crores of my cash with them. So let's get this 2 crores adjusted. Otherwise, this money would be lying with the income tax department. And on this 2 crores, that demand which is there, the interest cost would keep on rising. So I can make a demand to adjust my existing liability out of these assets. So following may be recovered: the amount of any existing liability under this act or under the Black Money Act that can be recovered out of the seized asset, the amount of liability determined on completion of such assessment, which is very logical. After the search is over, the assessment will be there. So in that search assessment, whatever liability has been determined, assessee can always say, sir, I am not going to pay you anything extra. I do not have money to pay you extra tax. Whatever cash was there, you have already taken with yourself. So please adjust this liability also from that money itself. So What can be recovered? Any existing liability can be recovered. Liability determined on the completion of such assessment can be recovered. Okay. Liability in respect of assessment of the current year, which will not be a part of search assessment. Search assessment would be with respect to past years, but the current year itself in which the search has been done. If the search is being done in November 25, that means PY 25-26, AY 26-27, whatever tax has been determined, that can also be adjusted from the assets seized by the department. Try to understand this practically. From an assessee's perspective, this would be logical because my money is already there lying with the income tax department. Okay. And now they have completed this assessment in which they have demanded 5 crores of tax from me. I would prefer that this tax demand gets adjusted with the cash which they have already seized. Otherwise, this tax demand I will be required to pay separately. I will be required extra funds for this payment. My working capital would get blocked. So I will prefer, sir, you are already having 10 crores amount of mine with you, and now you have calculated my tax payable of say 5 crores of rupees. Please adjust so that I am not required to pay any further interest on this tax liability. No separate funds from my side would get blocked for the tax payment. So that's why it is necessary to understand what all amounts may be recovered out of the asset seized, any existing liability, search assessment liability, and current year's liability. Now the issue would be whether only tax determined would be adjusted or interest and penalty can also be adjusted. So the second bullet gives me clarity. Liability determined on completion of the assessment shall also include any penalty levied or interest payable in connection with such assessment. So whatever tax they have determined, whatever penalty they have calculated, whatever interest they have calculated, all this can be adjusted against the money which all this can be adjusted against the money which is say lying with the income tax department. However, they make a very important clarification. The existing liability does not include advance tax payable. Am I audible? There seems to be some network problem somewhere. Just confirm, can you hear me? Hello? Okay, okay. Probably video is not working. वीडियो आ रहा है? हाँ, वही वीडियो वो ऑन भी नहीं हो रहा है. Okay, let's continue the discussion. You can see the slides at least, na? Screen is there.
Yes, sir. Screen is available and audio is also very much available. Only video is not there.
Perfect, perfect. So we will see it in the break, but let's continue the discussion. So the point is, existing liability does not include advance tax payable. What does it mean? So if there is any advance tax liability of mine, whether I will be required to pay that advance tax separately from my pocket, or I can ask income tax officer to adjust that money which is lying with them, to adjust that money against my advance tax liability. Now, law makes it clear existing liability does not include advance tax payable. So you may have a direct question on this point in the examination, creating a situation that 10 crores rupees worth have been seized by the income tax department. Assessee wants to pay 5 crores of advance tax for the current year. Whether he can ask income tax officer to adjust those that money against the advance tax liability, the answer would be no. Already existing liability, some assessment have been done, that existing liability can be adjusted. Liability which would arise on the completion of such assessment, or okay, the liability would include even interest also, liability would include even penalty also, but it will not include advance tax payable. Okay. So now the queries, sir, what about TDS payable and its related demand? No, it is only with respect to the income tax. Say TDS is with respect to other person's money. With respect to income tax, whatever is your existing liability or that such assessment liability, that can be adjusted. Okay. You want to say something on this?
No, sir.
Go ahead.
Why I asked this question? Since it's TDS also related to that income
Yeah.
tax,
Yeah. No,
why
but
they are
that
not?
is no, but that is not the liability with respect to my income.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay,
Fine.
sir. But it's deducted. No, it's deducted, but not paid to the government.
Fine, but not related with my income.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, sir.
Fine. So advance tax cannot be adjusted. Other existing liabilities can be adjusted, including interest, including penalties also. That adjustment is possible. Okay. Now, how this actual application would happen, that is the say next question we need to consider. Okay, they can adjust, they can say do this application. How exactly this application would happen? Something very logical. If the assessed consists of money, then the money can be easily adjusted. 10 crores worth cash they have seized, now that money can be easily adjusted against all those liabilities. Say they have seized cash worth rupees 5-10 lakhs of rupees only, huge amount of jewelry, huge amount of gold they have seized. Then how to do that adjustment? Very logically, then they will be required to sell those assets, and then whatever money they realize, they will be able to adjust. So for this whole sale of the seized assets, we have got some specific set of provisions contained in third schedule of the Income Tax Act. What exactly is going to be that sale procedure, you are not required to go into all those details. Just keep this thing in mind, that as per the procedure specified in the third schedule of the act, the assets would get sold off, and then the proceeds thereof would be used for all these adjustment. Okay. Okay, if it is money, then the adjustment would be plain and simple. If these are assets, then they will be liquidated, they will be selling it off, complying with that specific procedure, and then using that sale proceeds to do all those adjustments. Okay. Another aspect is this. Just create another situation in your mind. There may not be any liability. Existing liability is not there. Such assessment would take time to get over. Whether I can ask them to release my assets, or for example, they have seized my cash worth 10 crores of rupees and huge amount of jewelry also. I may say to them that, okay, sir, you keep this cash with you. 10 crores cash is already good enough amount. Please release this jewelry to me. This is my family possession. There is a marriage happening in the family 2 months down the line. My wife would be needing all this jewelry. There would be a huge family problem if you don't give this jewelry back to me. You can get the valuation done, you have got the listing done and everything. So the point is this, whether I can ask them to release the assets. During the course of search, you have seized everything. Whatever you could have found, you have taken everything with you. You have done this inventorization, valuation, everything. Now you don't need it. You already have got good amount of cash related with me in your possession. So at least give my jewelry back. This may happen. This may be a practical situation. Law takes care of this situation, and law says that the person concerned may make an application to the assessing officer for the release of asset. This application has to be made within 30 days from the end of the month in which the seizure has been done. Just try to see, a very short window of time is available, 30 days from the end of the month. So practically speaking, what happens whenever there is a search in the case of our client, the very first thing we do, once the search is over, the team is back, the income tax officers have gone back, the very first thing as a chartered accountant, as a professional I do, is to file an application for the release of that jewelry at least. We all can understand from a practical perspective, jewelry is going to be very sensitive matter for the family. Okay, so very first thing we do is to file an application for the release of jewelry. In any case, law gives me a window of 30 days only from the end of the month in which that seizure has been done to file this application for release of jewelry. Okay, we will take this query, Gita's query, we will take after some time. So the person concerned may make an application to the assessing officer for release of assets. Okay, this application is to be made within 30 days from the end of the month in which the asset was seized. Now, before they release these assets, they have already done the valuation, they have already done this inventory and everything, but still I am required to explain them. Sorry. I'm required to explain them the nature and source of acquisition of these assets, from where I have acquired them. What was the nature and source of these acquisition? So I have to satisfy them that these assets do not represent my undisclosed income. They have been acquired through a proper channel in a proper manner. So if I need to explain to the satisfaction of the officer the nature and source of acquisition of any such asset. Okay. In such case, the amount of any existing liability may be recovered out of such asset and remaining portion may be released to the person. Okay. Then they feel there is already some existing liability which needs to be recovered. So income tax department would be recovering this existing liability, and whatever is the excess amount, balance amount, they would be giving it back to the assessee. The prior approval would be needed in this particular case. Okay. Within a period of 120 days from the end of that search, this release is required to be made. So within a period of 30 days, I have to file that application. Within a month, and 120 days, that is within a period of 4 months, they will be doing this particular release. They will be disposing of my application in that regard. Okay. So the question is, if application has not been filed within 30 days to release the seized asset, what is the remedy available to the assessee? Generally speaking, then the remedy may not be there. But then there is a general power in law that officer would always have a power to condone the delay. If I am able to explain the genuine reasons for this particular delay, then they may condone the delay and accept the application even filed after 30 days. But the point is this, if I have filed within 30 days, then this is a right. I can always file this application within 30 days. It becomes obligatory on them to dispose of that application properly. If I have filed beyond 30 days, they may simply refuse to accept that application. They may simply reject that particular application without showing any specific reason to me. So you can always file it late in the specific situation, showing the genuineness of the delay, but then it becomes, say, at the mercy of the officer, if I can say so. Okay. So this is about application of release of assets. And then there is one more query pending. Is there any position or role of power difference between PDG, DG, PD, and PCC, CCC? Okay. See, Gita, I have explained this PDG, DG, and PD, that is Director General, they are mainly concerned with the search and survey only. Okay. Normal administration of income tax department, this Director General position is not at all involved. Okay. So they are at the same level of hierarchy. PDG is equivalent to PCC, DG is equivalent to CC. The officers are at the same level, but they are two different officers. And this PDG, DG, PD, they are mainly handling the search related matters. PCC, CCCC, they are handling mainly the administrative issues of the income tax department. That is what is the practical difference. Okay. Who will obtain prior approval? Fine. I think this is over. Okay. Now, the next issue related with this, and this is going to be the last part of our search discussion, release of assets after meeting all the liabilities. Okay, so now the search is over, the process is being done in the say, income tax department. They will be doing an assessment also, which is a say part of a separate discussion, the search assessment, block assessment, and everything. Now, just assume everything has been done. All the activities have been completed. They have determined how much tax is payable. They have determined how much interest is payable, how much penalty is there. Everything, whatever they want to recover, everything they have determined and they have recovered. Still, something remains with them. Still, some amount remains with them. What will happen? Very logically, very naturally, they have to return that amount back to me. So any assets or proceeds thereof which remain after meeting all the liabilities mentioned above shall be handed over to the person from whose custody assets were seized. Everything to the maximum possible they have charged on me and they have recovered, but still something remains. Then the balance amount is required. Very logically, the balance amount at least is required to be refunded back to the person from whose custody it has been seized. And then they say they will be paying me an interest also on this excess amount. They will be paying me an interest at the rate of 0.5% per month. Okay, 6% on an annualized basis, 0.5% per month, a very nominal rate of interest, but this is what they will be paying to me. How much period of this interest would be there? First 120 days, no interest would be there. Okay, after the completion of search, first 4 months, first 120 days, no interest would be there. From 121st day till the date of completion of assessment, this would be the period for which the interest would be payable at the rate of 0.5% per month on that excess amount which they are refunding back to me. Okay, whether assessee needed to file application to get excess money from IT, technically speaking, legally speaking, they have to refund on their own. No separate application is needed. But practically speaking, this is me who need to tell them, so this is what is the balance still available with me. Please give me my money back. So there's a practical situation. Law, there is no requirement of filing of any application. The law is very, very clear. The language of law is this: it should be forthwith handed over to the person. They have to give it back to me on their own. So legally speaking, from an examination question perspective, no application is needed. They have to refund it back to me on their own along with that particular interest. Okay. So friends, this is about say various provisions related with the income tax search. One very important aspect of this whole search is actually the assessment. Okay, how the assessment would happen, for how many years the income would be assessed, what would be the rate of tax, how the penalty would be levied, and all those say provisions are there, but they are part of a separate chapter. When you will be studying various kind of assessments, scrutiny assessment, reassessment, then you will be studying about the search assessment also. So barring that one particular aspect of this whole search, all other issues related with the search, how the actual search would happen, what are the powers available, what is the pre-search position, post-search position, during the search position, this is what is that complete discussion we have completed in this particular session, various provisions related with the search. Now, after search, what we need to discuss is a say miniature version of search, what is called a survey of income tax. So at this point, I think we can take a say quick break, and then post break we will be discussing the remaining part of our topics, that survey and some other issues related with the income tax authorities. So a quick 10 minutes break we can take. This is 7:35 in my watch. So 7:45 sharp, we will be meeting again. Okay. Yeah. now friends, in this whole process of understanding powers of various income tax authorities, we had a detailed discussion about income tax search. One of the say most important power available to the income tax authority, and then say practically, if I can use that word, say most dangerous kind of power also, where they can enter into assessee's house, break open the lock, and then seize the assets and do all these kind of things as a part of their say in order to find out whether there is any undisclosed income, whether there is any concealed income by any assessee. Now we have what I'm again and again saying is a miniature version of that search also, what is called survey. Okay, miniature version, so to say, section 133 capital A of income tax survey. Okay, so what will happen in the case of survey, we will discuss it again in detail, that income tax authority will have a power to come to assessee's place, to enter the assessee's place, like they have a power even in case of search also. But then there is a limitation what they can do during the case of survey. Number of restrictions are there, and then there is a limited amount of power which they can exercise when it is a case of a survey. So just to generate a practical clarity, search is like say they have got extensive power, they can go to a huge extent, like I'm repeating it again and again, breaking open the lock. Normally anybody is doing this breaking open the lock, it's a criminal offense actually. But then during the course of search, income tax authorities have been given this very specific power to enter the premises of anybody, to break open the lock and everything. In survey also, we will see they can enter to the premises of assessee, but then they can perform only limited number of activities there. They can exercise only limited amount of power there. So that's why I call it a miniature version of search. Okay, so now what exactly are the provisions? Section 133A is the section. Search was 132. 132 is search, 132A was that requisition. And now this is say 133A survey. Okay. So what is the basic power they are having with respect to survey is again power to enter. This we have discussed in the case of search also. Normally, even this power to enter is also very significant power. Okay. Without a specific provision, without a specific authority of law, if anybody trying to enter to my place, I can simply say no to him. I can refuse him to enter to my place. And if he tries to do it deliberately, I can get him caught by a police officer. That's a criminal offense. Hai na? Technically, this is called trespassing. If you are entering into any other place without the permission of the owner, against the wishes of owner, then you are committing a criminal offense. That's why law makes it very clear whenever they have to give this specific power, they give us mention it very clearly, power to enter. And that's why that power to enter becomes something very significant. Okay, will we get this PPT? I'm okay with this. I'll just find out what will be the process. If it can be uploaded, I'll upload it. Okay. Okay, and before this, we have this one more query. What is the monetary limit for search, sir? Absolutely no monetary limit. They should have reason to believe that there is any concealment of income. Generally speaking, they won't be going for search for some smaller matters, but as per law, there is no monetary limit, neither for search nor for survey. Okay. So now, say specifically about this survey. So they have got this power to enter. The basic power in survey is also same like this there is in case of search. Then they can enter, and I cannot say no to them. To any other person, I'm again repeating it, I can say no. So that we can get the say severity of the this whole provision, that they have got a power to enter. Now, where, when, how, let's try to understand. Power to enter a place within their jurisdiction. It should be within their geographical jurisdiction. They can enter, which is a business premise, including where an activity of charitable purpose is carried on. है ना? Just try to keep in mind, generate in mind the difference also between search and survey. Otherwise, because lot many people get confused on this, this is same whatever is written in the search case. So try to generate that say subtle difference also, that may help you to answer certain questions in exam also. In search, we have discussed they have power to enter the place. The nature of place was not defined, meaning thereby in case of search they may enter into say business places also, and they can of course enter into the residential places also. Whereas in case of survey, what is written? Power to enter the place which is a business premises. So simple question may be asked that assessing officer, any income tax officer under section 133A is trying to enter into the residential house of the assessee, whether he can do so. Act has not say no. They are not saying that he cannot enter into residential premises, but they are providing it in other manner, that you can enter only into the business premises. So to what extent their authority is, they can enter into business premises. Where the authority stops under section 133A, anything which is not a business premises, you cannot go to that place for survey purposes. Okay. So if you are trying to enter into any, say, residential premises during the course of survey, then we will write the answer. Sir, the officer is exceeding his jurisdiction. He is exceeding his authority. Okay. So A, they can enter into a business premise. Then there are two clarifications related with the business premise. Any place where a charitable activity is being carried on. Now, strictly speaking, this is not business. But then they have allowed a survey even for charitable organizations also. Otherwise, you keep a restriction only of business premises. For charitable organization, you can never do a survey. So that's why they have said business premises, including where an activity for charitable purpose is carried on. And one more clarification is there. Say, for example, they come to survey for my shop and they ask for my books of accounts. And I tell them, sir, my books of accounts are lying in my home, at my residence. Then provision says that any place where books of accounts or other valuable article or thing related to business, profession, or activity for charitable purposes are kept, that place also can be covered for survey. So this may again be a very specific question in examination. For the survey, whether income tax officer can enter into residential premises, answer would be no. If assessee says a part of stock is lying at the residential premises, then yes. If assessee says my books of accounts are kept at my residential premises, then yes, survey can be done even at the residential premises also. So this is the very first point. What exactly would be the domain of survey? What exactly would be the target of survey? Business premises. Okay. Let's see the queries. Okay, in search, they can enter aircraft, vessel, building, or any place where they have suspicion. So in case of search, they can enter into any place, business or residential. For survey, it is only business. Yes. So Geeta is asking a very interesting, important question as such. If business is done in the residential place, of course, then yes. If you are doing some business, see, the second clarification itself gives you an idea. Na? Where they say books of accounts or say valuable articles, stock in trade related with the business has been kept, then that place would also be treated as your business place. So in your case, so you are actually doing a business from your residential house only. So then the residential place survey can be done. So there is a female who is doing all this, say, sari sale purchase business or clothes sale purchase business from her house only, then the house will also be treated like a business place. Okay. So what is the purpose of survey? We will come to it. Right now, we are discussing what they can do. Why they are doing it, that will be the second part. Okay. So where they can do this survey? I think we have got it very clearly. Business place, charitable activity place, any other place where the books or say stock, valuable article, etc. related with the business are kept. They can enter. What is the first part of this whole survey? They can enter. Now the second issue is when they can enter. The timing of entry. For survey, even that is also defined. Search, no such restriction. Anytime. Morning 6 o'clock, evening 10 o'clock, they can come for search. Survey, there is a time period restriction. If it is business premises where the actual business is being conducted, they can enter into that place during business hours. Any other places where, say, for example, my books of accounts, etc., are kept at my residential house, no business is being conducted, but there also they can do the survey. So, for all those places, during daytime only. How the law defines it? After sunrise, before sunset. Okay. Any business premise, they can enter during business hours. Other places, during daytime, after sunrise, before sunset, they can enter. So, two things are important here. If it is business premise, then the daytime requirement is not there. The requirement is during business hours. So, they want to go to a jewelry shop. Obviously, the jewelry shop is open, for example, from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. So, any time between this, they can enter. They go to survey for a nightclub. It's a business place. It is not at all open during daytime. It opens only after sunset. Whether they can do a survey there, whether they can enter, yes. Because that daytime sunrise sunset requirement is applicable only for non-business places where you are allowed to do survey because of other reasons, it being a charitable activity or it being a place where books of accounts, etc., have been kept. There the sunrise sunset requirement is there. For business places, the requirement is during business hours. So if my jewelry shop is open from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., you can enter to the jewelry shop anytime between this 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. But another very interesting aspect, what is not mentioned in the law, which is open-ended, the entry time has been specified. What is exit time? Not written. So if I'm running a jewelry shop, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. is the say normal business timing. They can enter 8 p.m. in the evening. Okay, they can come to my shop. We are from income tax office. We are doing a survey. So this is 8 p.m. and we have come to your place. Fine enough, sir. 9 p.m. my shop closing time. Whether I can ask them to, sir, thank you. Now go out. Time is over. No. The entry time has been specified by the law. The exit time is not there. So once the entry has been done during that particular period, then exit may happen anytime. So entry time for business places and non-business places, one aspect of it, and the only entry time has been specified. The exit time has not been specified. This is another aspect. Okay. Fine. So where they can enter, when they can enter, two aspects. None of these were the restrictions with respect to search. Where, any place, when, any time. Survey, it is restricted. Okay. What exactly is the nature of restriction? That also we need to have a clarity. The entry time restriction is there. Exit time is not restricted. Okay. Now what they can do? Once they have entered, the place is correct, the timing is correct. Okay. So now what they can do? They can do only three things. Mainly three things. Inspect the books, verify cash, stock, other valuable article, and then obtain such information as they may require. In order to develop a better understanding, keep an internal comparison with the search going on. What they can do in the case of search, some very important provision which is missing is like that break open the lock. Search they can do. Survey, no such power. Search, they can search even the persons also. Okay, searching the person like that frisking or something like we happens at the airport or somewhere other places. The actual search of the person, not in the case of survey. So what they can do, the limited amount of powers, limited amount of acts they can do is to examine my books of accounts. Yes, you can do a verification, counting of cash, counting of stock, counting of other valuable article, etc. Yes, you can do. And then you can obtain whatever information you want from me. You can ask all those questions and I will be replying to it. You cannot search any person, you cannot break open the lock, you cannot seize the documents, etc. Okay, so inspect the book. Caesar, we will discuss some amount of it, but break open the lock is not there. Searching the person is not there in case of survey. Inspection of books, verification of stock, cash, etc., and then obtaining the information. This is what they can do in the survey. This is why the survey is done, to do the stock verification, to inspect the books of accounts, and to ask the information from that person. Okay. What other things they can do and what they cannot do also. Okay, allowed and then not allowed also. What is the boundary line? Up to which this you can go, and beyond this you cannot travel. Place marks of identification on books of accounts, other documents inspected by them. Take copy of them. You can do this in search also. Here also you can do. You can take the copies of these documents. Sorry. I'm sorry. Okay. You can impound these books also and retain in your custody. Okay. So that is also permissible. Impounding and then taking sorry, taking these documents with you, that is also possible after recording the reasons for doing so. You need to record why you want to take them with you. So impounding and retaining in this custody the books of accounts and other documents, that is also possible. Okay. You can normally retain them for the minimum period, for the say maximum period of 15 days. A normal nominal period of 15 days has been given. Beyond 15 days, if you want to retain, you require approval of this higher authority, CIT or onwards kind of thing. Okay. CIT, DIT or higher level, say approval is needed for retention beyond 15 days. Up to 15 days, you can retain. So what all you can do, let's again generate the say very quick idea, complete picture. Inspect the books, verify cash, stock, etc. Ask me the questions, obtain such information as may be required, do this tick mark, ticking, etc. on these books of accounts, impounding and retaining the books of accounts with him. Just recall, in case of search also, he can take the books of accounts, etc. with them. In survey also, he can take books of accounts, etc. with them, but for the maximum period of 15 days. But in search, they can obviously take with them all other things, money, bullion, jewelry, valuable articles, etc. Whether this can be done even in case of survey also. An income tax authority cannot remove from the place where he has entered any cash, stock, other valuable article or thing. The major difference between search and survey. Apart from that residential versus business premises, this is another major difference. You can take the documents with you, even in case of survey also, fine enough. Take the documents with you, maximum for 15 days, that too. But any other thing, absolutely no. Make an inventory, do a counting, verify how much cash is there, how much stock is there. Okay, but you cannot take them with you. So make an inventory of any cash stock valuable article, record the statement. Okay, you can record my statement. And here lies another subtle difference. See, the law needs to be read, and particularly income tax need to be read in such a manner so as to find out what was there at one place but not there at other place. In search, when they were talking about recording the statement, the exact provision was recording the statement on oath. And I have said this thing that oath is a very powerful requirement there, which normally court enjoys, but income tax has given this power to the say authorities during search. They can record the statement on oath. In survey, it is a plain, simple statement, not on oath. So they can record the statement, not on oath. They can make an inventory, counting, etc. But they cannot seize them. They cannot take with them all these cash, money, bullion, jewelry, valuable article, etc. Yeah, 15 days time for the say impounding and retaining the books of accounts. You can retain them for maximum 15 days. Beyond this, you need to record the reason and obtain the approval of this higher authorities. So what all things they can do and what they cannot do, you need to have an absolute clarity. Okay, recording the statement on oath is not possible. Plain simple recording of statement. Removing this say jewelry, cash stock, etc. not possible. Okay, making an inventory, taking the documents, obtaining the information, all these things they can do in the case of a survey. Okay. Now, there is some specific provision with respect to survey for TDS TCS purposes. Okay, this was the survey, general kind of survey with respect to your income calculation, etc. Now, there is a specific provision where, say, TDS persons are doing a survey in order to ensure there is a proper compliance with the TDS provision, etc. So, there are certain specific restrictions when it is a TDS TCS survey. In case of TDS TCS, you cannot verify cash stock, etc. Very obviously, for TDS purposes, you don't need to find out how much is cash, how much is stock, so that verification cannot be done. You cannot impound, retain books of accounts, and that inventorization of cash stock, valuable article, etc. that cannot be done. You cannot verify it, you cannot make a list of it, and you cannot impound and retain the books of accounts in case of a TDS TCS survey. Okay, so what can be done in case of a normal survey, and what cannot be done in case of this TDS TCS survey, that is also another aspect we need to develop a clarity about. Okay, so what can be done in case of survey, what can be done in case of search, we already had a discussion. Now vis-a-vis search, where the survey stands, what are the powers, what are the restrictions, that idea needs to have a clarity. Okay, now, with respect to this survey itself, there is one very interesting provision, not exactly a kind of survey, but somehow related to it. That is section 133A, subsection 5, power to collect information with regard to any function. The main survey part we have already discussed, where the income tax officer can enter into my place and then do a verification, taking the say books of accounts, etc. That is the main survey part. Okay. Now there is one specific provision in this survey provision itself, 133A subsection 5, power to collect information with regard to any function, event, ceremony, etc. So, what is the provision? It says that with respect to any function, ceremony, or event, the income tax officer has power to collect the information and record the statement. Recording the statement and collect the information if he feels that having regard to the nature, scale, and extent of expenditure incurred, it is necessary to obtain this information. So the idea is this: If income tax department feels there is an event happening, there is a function happening, and there is a huge amount of expenditure, so just to get the idea that what is the level of expenditure, what kind of expenditure has been done, he may collect the information with respect to this function, ceremony, or event. Two things are important. One is, when this information can be collected, it can be exercised at any time after the event. So, say for example, there is a marriage happening in the family. Okay, it's a function. Income tax officer feels that this marriage celebrations are at a very large scale, huge expenditure has been done. So let's collect some information about this whole marriage. How much is the expenditure? Let's try to generate an estimate. The question comes, he comes to that marriage function and start asking questions to the people, start collecting information. You happen to be standing, you have been invited in that marriage, or this is your own family function. What is the stand you will be taking? Income tax officer is there and he starts, see, practically speaking, nobody would like this to happen, and there's going to be a nuisance. There is a marriage happening, all these fun music, dance must be happening, and then income tax officer starts asking questions from the general public. Nobody would like. Whether income tax officer can do this, the law says he can collect the information, but he can collect the information at any time after the event. So if this happens to be case with you, it is your own family function, or you happen to be a, say, invited guest at that function, and you see that there is an income tax officer and he's asking various information, you can simply go to that person and tell him, sir, you have a power to collect information, but not now. I know the law, I know the act, and what is written there. You can collect the information only after the event is over. After the event. Okay, so a small word written there, but it has got a very important practical significance. Right? Then, another aspect to it, from whom this information can be collected. The obvious answer would be, so in whose family the marriage is happening, who is doing, who is organizing that function, the organizers of the function, from them only the information can be collected. Now here something very interesting is there. Information may be collected, statement may be recorded of the assessee by whom such expenditure has been incurred. Any person who, in the opinion of income tax officer, is likely to possess information with regard to the expenditure incurred. Not necessarily the assessee only, not necessarily the say person in whose family the function is happening. Any person where income tax officer feel that that person can give me information. So practically speaking, this is possible. There was this grand gala marriage, and hundreds of items were there, huge music and grand decoration and everything. Income tax department can ask information about this whole nature type of expenditure from the person in whose family this marriage was there. Somehow income tax department came to know that you have also been invited to that particular marriage, so he can send a notice to you also, asking you to provide the information about that marriage. Okay, how many items were there, what kind of food was there, whether the say dry fruit sweets were there, what kind of music was going on. And you may feel, yeah, I have to went only to attend that particular marriage, why all these income tax notices and everything? But they can ask from you also. So that was not my family function, I was to invited only as a guest. But income tax officer feels that no, you are it is like you are likely to possess the information about the nature level of expenditure in that event, so they may ask the information even from you also. But when they can ask? Only after the event, not before, not during, only after that event. Okay, and then this power can be exercised even by that inspector of income tax also. Normally inspector of income tax is considered to be probably the say lowest level of authority in the income tax department, but that level of person also can collect this kind of information. Okay, what is the meaning for after? Okay, so there is no defined timeline. Any time after. See, I always say this thing: a law is not like a military parade where everything is absolutely precise. Okay, they have said after that event. So, any time after the event, the information may be asked within, of course, a reasonable time period. Okay, so this is about this section 133A, where there is a main provision related with that survey, where income tax authority can enter into business premises, collect the information, etc. And then there is one special provision related with this function, ceremony, or events, etc. Okay, so this covers our discussion about survey also. Search and survey are say two most important topic of this whole chapter about income tax authority, whatever is there in your module or something. So these are two main chapters. Rest all other provisions are there, but say mainly from examination perspective, the search and survey are two most important provisions. Okay, then let's cover some more remaining provisions in this case. Okay, one very important aspect, yeah, one more issue related with this whole survey, that this survey can be done in respect of any proceeding under the act. This whole entering into the place, collecting the information, verification of cash, etc., that can be done with respect to any proceedings in the act. Now, how the proceedings have been defined, something very interesting. They say proceeding, that means any ongoing proceeding, any proceeding under this act in respect of any year, which may be pending on the date. So any proceeding which is pending, or what is generally called an ongoing proceeding. Some case is going on, some assessment is going on. With respect to that assessment, some information is to be collected. They can do a survey with respect to that proceeding pending. Any proceeding which has already been completed, for that matter also a survey can be done. And the last is more important: any proceeding which may commence in a future date. Okay, so not necessarily for an ongoing proceeding, but even for the completed proceeding and even for the future proceeding also, they can exercise all these powers under section 133A. So in respect of that, for example, marriage function itself, they may feel, yeah, there is good amount of huge expenditure is happening, there might be say some unaccounted undisclosed income involved. Based on this, we can start an assessment later on. So even for that purpose also, they can exercise that particular power. It is not necessary, in other words, it is not necessary that for survey the case must be going on, there must be something pending in my case before income tax office. It is not necessary. Even for the completed case, or even for a say future case also, the survey can be done. Future proceeding, I gave the example now. They may start an assessment in my case later on, based on the information which they are collecting today. Okay, fine. So this is about section 133A, survey, search and survey we have completed. Now some say smaller topics, some smaller issues remain. So let's cover these other topics also. A simple basic reading would be good enough. Simple reading, say listening carefully, should be good enough for your examination purposes with respect to these sections. So there is now this section 133 capital B, power to collect certain information. This is a say further miniature form of even survey also. Survey itself, I am saying, a miniature version of search, and this is further miniature version of survey. Under this section, under section 133B, the income tax authority may simply enter any building or place within its jurisdiction. The place, the building should be within his jurisdiction or should be occupied by any person, which person falls within his jurisdiction. Okay, where a business or profession is carried on. The basic requirement is again same. It should be a business place, should be within my jurisdiction or should be occupied by the person which falls within my jurisdiction. And where a business or profession is carried on, income tax authority can enter into that particular place for the purpose of collecting any information. They can simply come, ask the question, collect the information. That's all. The authority may require any proprietor, employee, or any other person to furnish such information as may be prescribed. So they can come, they can do some sawal jawabs, ask some question. I need to give the information, I need to answer, and that would be the end of the matter. 133B, power to collect the information. It is not even survey. They have been given a right to enter into the premises, which has to be my business place. The place should be within their jurisdiction or should be occupied by a person who falls in their jurisdiction. They can enter in that particular place, ask the questions, get the information what they want. Only during the business hours they can exercise this particular power. We already had this discussion what exactly this business hours mean. That means the time when which this place is open for business. If it is a nightclub, this may be evening time. If it is a normal business, then this may be daytime. Okay, the business time. They cannot remove any books of accounts, other valuable article thing, etc. No removal, not even books of accounts. Okay, in case of survey, they could have impound and take with them the books of accounts. Here, that is also not possible. This is plain, simple power to collect information. Come to my place, collect the information, ask the questions. I will be giving you the answer. That's all. Again, this power is available even with the income tax officer also. Who has been authorized by the assessing officer, so available to an inspector of income tax also, like that function ceremony event also was available to an inspector. So this also is available to inspector. Normal survey inspector level is not possible, search so definitely not possible, but this function ceremony event and then this 133B information, that power can be exercised even that lowest level of officer, what is called inspector of income tax. Okay. One more small issue related with these powers of authority, disclosure of information with respect to the assessee. Okay. Whether income tax officer, whether income tax department can disclose my information to a third party, to an outsider. This is what is the question we are trying to answer here. Disclosure of information respecting assessees, section 138. Okay. So the provision is plain and simple. A one-time simple reading would be sufficient. CBDT or any other income tax authority authorized by the CBDT may furnish any information received by any income tax authority to any other officer. We have discussed about, say, they are calling information documents from other officers, and here we are talking about they sharing the information with other officers. Okay, to any officer, authority, or body performing any law related function. So this is possible that whatever information I have given to them through my income tax return, through various replies to notices, whatever information I have given, they can share this information to other officers under any other law. If that law is related with, say, any tax duty, sales fees like GST or customs, then they can freely share this information with other. They can share this information with other officers also if a notification has been issued by central government in that regard. So this is part A. They can share on their own with other officers. B, and probably a little bit more important, whether I can ask information related with a third person from the income tax department. Whether I can go and file an application to the income tax department, sir, I want to know how much money Mr. Virat Kohli is earning. Please give me the details. Or how much money Mr. Amitabh Bachchan is earning. Please give me the details. If a person makes an application to this CIT or above level for obtaining any information relating to any assessee, the officer may share the information with you, with that person, only if he is satisfied that it is in the public interest to do. If it is in the public interest to share the information related with a person, with any other person, with any third party, then CIT or above level officer may disclose, may share the information with that third person only when they are satisfied that it is in the public interest to do. If he feels there is no public interest would be served, then he can simply refuse sharing that particular information, and then this decision cannot be challenged. You cannot go to the court and say, file a writ petition, sir, I wanted income tax detail of Mr. Amitabh Bachchan. As income tax officer has refused, he direct him to share this information with me. No, this is the final decision. Only when if he is satisfied that it is in the public interest to do it, then only he will allow sharing of information. Generally speaking, normally speaking, information about one particular person's income has nothing to do with the public interest. So practically in majority of cases, this kind of say application would be rejected by the income tax department. Yeah. Fine. That cargo issue is there, but it has nothing to do with our discussion as such. Fine. Okay. So this is about something disclosure of information, a very simple kind of situation. They can share the information with other law officers. If a other person asks information about somebody else, then this would be disclosed only if it is in the public interest to do the same. Okay. Fine. Now, the last topic we need to cover in this particular session is a small topic, something related with the Dispute Resolution Committee, DRC. Okay, Section 245, capital MA is the provision of the Income Tax Act, which gives us the small provision related with the DRC, Dispute Resolution Committee. Nothing much to be discussed as such. As I am saying, a simple reading should be good enough. If you can say listen to it plain and simple within next say 20-25 minutes, this topic would be over. A plain simple kind of provision. The idea is this whole dispute resolution committee, say income tax department has made an assessment against me. I am not satisfied. They have made some additions, what is called some variations. I have filed a return of income showing 30 lakhs as my income. They have made a variation, increased it to 50 lakhs of rupees. So some variations have been made in my income through an income tax assessment order. The normal option available to me as an assessee is to file an appeal, is to challenge that assessment through an appeal to the income tax officer, what is called commissioner of income tax appeal, and all those. You will be studying it separately. But then appeal sometimes become a very say time consuming longer process. So government has thought of a say another mechanism to resolve the dispute by way of this dispute resolution committee. Okay, assessee can approach this dispute resolution committee rather than filing an appeal, and then this DRC, dispute resolution committee, would be say giving their decision in that particular matter, which would then be followed by the income tax officer, by the assessing officer, to finalize the assessment of the assessee. So that is a say plain and simple idea related with the DRC. Rather than going for the appeal, an assessee may approach dispute resolution committee whenever there is a dispute between income tax officer and assessee. When there will be a dispute between income tax officer and assessee, obviously when they are trying to increase my income, there is a variation they are making in my income, then there will be dispute. So for resolution of the dispute, that mechanism of DRC has been created. Okay, so let's try to understand the basic functionality of the DRC. What exactly is DRC? When I can approach DRC? What they will be doing? What are the monetary limits and all those things? Okay. So very first thing is this. Obviously, central government would be constituting this DRC. Every person in every case cannot approach DRC. Any appeal filing, etc. Everybody can will be having that facility of filing an appeal. DRC is for a specified person in specified cases only. So applicable to specified persons opting for dispute resolution, dispute arising from any variation in the specified order. So the order in respect of which I am approaching DRC, that should fall into a specified category. I should belong to a specified category of person. Then only this DRC option would be available to me. This is the first thing. Specified person in case of specified order. Variation in the specified order. Variation refers to a case where the variation has been made to my returned income. As I have given the example, my income return was 30 lakhs. They want to assess it to 50 lakhs. So they are making a variation to my income. So there are variations in the specified order. Assessee belongs to a specified person category. Then this DRC option would be available. Okay. Now, a simple idea about what this DRC would be. See, if you are filing an appeal before Commissioner Appeals, it is one person only. DRC is a panel of three persons. Okay, so chances of having a say fair resolution would be high in this particular case. So two retired IRS officer and one serving officer of the cadre of CIT or PCIT, they will be the member of this DRC. They will be obviously giving the decision by majority. Will have a 3 year, say, tenure in the DRC. Simple idea. Okay. Now, the first important question is, what are the specified orders? Okay. For all kind of orders I can approach the DRC. Okay. I should be a specified assessee. There's other part to it. But even in case of a specified assessee, what all types of cases I can approach DRC. So I can approach DRC in respect of an intimation under section 143(1), 200A or 206CB. What is 143(1)? I have filed a return of income and that return would be processed by CPC. They will be issuing an intimation to me. If I'm not satisfied with that intimation, they have made some variation in that intimation, then I can approach DRC. So 143(1) intimation. 200A and 206CB are TDS, TCS. I have filed my return of TDS, filed my return of TCS. They have processed it and made some demand on me, made some variation. So even for TDS, TCS issues also, I can approach DRC. So first case I can approach DRC is all these return intimations, either income tax return or TDS return or TCS return. Second is against the draft assessment order. Okay, in a case of non-resident assessees and in case of assessees where transfer pricing provisions are applicable, it is mandatory for assessing officer to issue me a draft assessment order first. Only after draft assessment order has been issued, then they can issue a final assessment order at a later stage. So if I am an assessee in whose case the draft assessment order has been issued, against that draft assessment order also, I can file an application before DRC. It has not been finalized now. AO has only issued a draft order. Against the draft order itself, I can go to DRC. Okay. Then I can approach the DRC in respect of normal assessment reassessment order where dispute resolution panel was not involved. There is a separate authority, DRP, dispute resolution panel, that you will study when you will be studying about various other assessments. So if a DRP matter is there, then DRC would not get involved. If an assessment or reassessment order has been passed without involvement of DRP, then against that assessment reassessment order, I can approach DRC. So there is two different concepts, dispute resolution panel and dispute resolution committee. Right now we are discussing dispute resolution committee, DRC. Then I can approach DRC in case of a rectification order also under section 154. Some assessment order has been passed by assessing officer, then they have made a rectification in that order under section 154. I was not having any problem with assessment. Now they have rectified that assessment order under section 154. Now I have a problem. So against that rectification order under section 154 also, I can approach DRC. And then order deeming assessee in default under section 201, 206C, that is again TDS TCS case. My assessment has been done with respect to TDS or with respect to TCS, and there some demand has been raised. So against that order also, I can approach DRC. So these are 4 or 5 orders against which I can approach DRC. Practically all kind of assessments where DRP was not involved, I can go to DRC. A rectification order, I can go to DRC. Intimations, either income tax or TDS, TCS, I can approach DRC in that case also. Okay. Now, what are the conditions for this specified order? See, DRC is basically what they say is for resolution of smaller issues. If it is a large kind of, say, variation, large issues, then the normal appeal mechanism would be there. But for smaller routine kind of issues, this DRC is available. So that's why I've said that variation should be maximum up to 10 lakhs. Variations, that means the addition made. I have say filed income of this much, and they have increased that income by that much amount. So that variation. So variation should be maximum of 10 lakhs. A. Second, and these are cumulative conditions. Second, my return income should not be more than 50 lakhs. More than 50 lakhs income, I must say large scale assessee, then this facility is not available. Smaller cases are covered. So return income maximum up to 50 lakhs, variations made maximum up to 10 lakhs. And then this order is not based on that search survey or that requisition 132A. If it is a search survey matter, then again you are a big fish. Then you are not allowed to go for this DRC. It is for actual genuine smaller kind of assessees. They have created this facility. Variation less than 10 lakhs, return income maximum up to 50 lakhs of rupees. Then for all those assessment, reassessment, intimations, order, etc., you can approach DRC, Dispute Resolution Committee. Okay. Who are not eligible, who cannot approach DRC? Okay, if there is this assessee who has been detained under this COFE POSA, okay, for prevention of that smuggling, there is this specific act in our country, COFE POSA. So in that act, if you have been convicted, then you are not entitled for this DRC option. Similarly, if somebody has been convicted under other acts like IPC, Indian Penal Code, or nowadays it is say Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, UAPA, Benami Act, Prevention of Money Laundering Act. In all these acts, if somebody has been convicted, then again he cannot approach DRC. or if he is a person against whom a prosecution has been initiated even under the Income Tax Act also. So if you are of a say criminal nature person, have been prosecuted or prosecution has been initiated against you, then this facility would not be available. This is for small level, genuine kind of investor, or genuine kind of say taxpayers for whom this whole facility of DRC has been made available in the Income Tax Act. Okay. Uh, then if you want to actually approach DRC, so in your case, for example, an assessment order has been passed, variation is say maximum 10 lakhs. For example, a 3 lakhs addition has been made in that assessment order. Your return income was maximum up to 50 lakhs. So a return has been filed for say 25 lakhs of income and assessing officer has made an addition of around 3 lakhs to that particular return. Okay, you are obviously not convicted under COFE POSA or any other act or income tax act or something like this. So from all angle, you are a fit case for say approaching this DRC. What will be the timeline within which you need to approach? Any legal remedy available in the act needs to be exercised within a specific time period. Okay, so this is a remedy available to you. Okay, assessing officer has made variation. Now we are giving you a facility to resolve that particular dispute. You need to act within a specific time period. If appeal is pending before Commissioner of Appeals already, then the time would be specified by the CBDT. Otherwise, if no appeal is pending, after the assessment order, you are approaching DRC, then within 1 month from the receipt of specified order, you have to approach DRC. You have to file an application with DRC. Within this 1 month time period, a nominal small 1,000 rupees fees would be payable for filing this particular application before DRC. Okay, so this is half of the portion of it. The first part, when you can approach. So first of all, you need to decide whether you are is a fit case, you want to go, and then you actually file an application. So first part is over. The remaining half, the second part is now what they will do. The procedure at the DRC level. Okay. So first of all, DRC would examine and decide whether to admit the application or to reject it. What is your complaint? They will listen to it later on. First stage, they will decide whether actually you are entitled to approach DRC or not, whether your application should be accepted or should be rejected at all, should be admitted or should be rejected at all. This is the first level of screening they will be doing. So they would be obviously examining whether you are eligible or not, you meet that specified conditions or not. Interesting question. If application is rejected, whether that 1,000 rupees refunded or not, no. That money is gone in the government treasury. Forget about it. Okay. Fine. So first of all, they will be examining your eligibility, fulfillment of specified condition. Okay. If they want to reject it, they say no, this application we are not going to admit. Then before this, obviously, they need to give you a show cause notice. They need to give you what we have mentioned other day also, a reasonable opportunity of being heard before they are rejecting. Okay. Now suppose they have rejected. You try to convince them, no, sir, I am eligible. The order fulfills all the requirement, but they have rejected. Then what you can do? Then you can file an appeal to the Commissioner Appeals. That option was already available. You thought that no, DRC would be a simpler, faster process. You went to DRC. They have shown you the door. They have rejected your application. So then the original option in any case is available. You can file an appeal to the Commissioner Appeals. There is a time limit within which appeal is to be filed with CIT appeal. There may be a genuine problem that since you have approached DRC have examined your application and then they have rejected. Meanwhile, you might have that the deadline for filing appeal with CIT appeal might be over. So how to approach, how to file an appeal? Law says no. Whatever time period has been taken between you filing an application with DRC and DRC rejecting that application, that much time period would be excluded in order to file the application, the appeal with the CIT appeal. So if DRC refuses to entertain your application at all, they reject it at the admission stage itself, they do not admit that application, then you can go to CIT appeal, the time period would get extended. Okay. If it has been admitted, they have found you to be eligible, order specified everything, then what will happen? Then definitely they will be examining the whole case. For that examination purposes, they may call records from the income tax department. The order has been passed by AO, so they may call all these records from the assessing officer, from the income tax department. They may seek an AO report also. They will be sending your application to AO, asking him to present his point of view, what he has to say. So they may ask a report from AO. They may request further information also. They may ask the AO or the applicant to provide some more details, some more information. Fine. And then they can modify the variation. Okay, something very good. These modification cannot be prejudicial. AO has made an addition of 3 lakhs of rupees. At best, they can say keep it at 3 lakhs. They may reduce it to 2 lakhs, but they cannot increase it. It cannot be prejudicial to the assessee. And that's why DRC sometimes become a better option, is considered to be a better option than CIT appeals. Here, you do not have a say risk of say getting worse off. So it cannot be prejudicial to you. And then DRC may waive penalty and grant immunity from prosecution also. That is a power available with the DRC. If they feel it is a case of a genuine mistake kind of thing, they may waive the penalty, they may grant the immunity also. This is what is the procedure after admission. Okay. One or two last aspect of this whole discussion. It's a time-bound process. Once they admit my application, within a period of 6 months, they have to decide the matter. Okay. Time-bound. After deciding, they will be sending a copy to AO and a copy to assessee also. Based on this, then AO will be passing a modified order. Based on the DRC order, AO will be finalizing my assessment, will be passing a modified order. Now, against this, I cannot file a further appeal. If I say AO has made an addition of 3 lakhs, I feel the addition should be 0. DRC has made an addition of 2 lakhs. 3 lakhs they have brought down to 2 lakhs. Matter is final. Against this 2 lakh addition, now I cannot file any appeal. So no appeal is allowed against the modified order. DRC order would be sent to AO. AO would be modifying his original assessment order based on DRC's recommendation, DRC's directions. Against this modified assessment order, no further appeal can be filed. So this is what is this whole procedure related with the DRC. Okay. some more issues related with this whole DRC. They may terminate this whole procedure in between if they feel assessee is non-cooperative, failure to respond, assessee has submitted some false evidence or something, the demand which he was supposed to pay that has not been paid. So they may even terminate the proceeding also. Okay. This we have already discussed. When the DRC order would be received by this AO, the AO shall be say passing and shall be modifying his original order and shall be passing the modified order of assessment in conformity with the directions issued by the DRC within a period of 1 month from the end of the month in which such order has been received. So DRC has to pronounce their direction within 6 months, and then AO has to finalize the assessment again within this specified time period. AO would be finalizing the assessment. Okay. So I think this is what we are having with respect to this whole idea of a DRC, also a smaller kind of a topic. As I'm mentioning, just a say plain simple reading would be good enough even for your examination purposes also. So friends, this completes our discussion with respect to this whole say income tax authorities. What are various kind of income tax authorities starting from CBDT to PDGIT, PCCIT, and all other authorities, what are their powers, what they can do, what they cannot do, to specific powers related with the search, seizure, and survey, and then some other related issues, including this DRC. This is what we have completed our discussion. Okay. So the time is available. If at all there are any questions from your side, we can handle these questions now. Any questions?
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
So, sir, with respect to search, you talked about that jurisdiction, not having the jurisdiction, and the building. That the 2 point you discussed. No, just to give us some example for that, sir.
Okay, I think I gave you an example. Say this is the say PCIT Chandigarh has issued a search warrant with respect to a place somewhere in Ahmedabad. Now, search team reaches to Ahmedabad, and then they realize there is one more building which is belonging to the same assessee that needs to be searched. Either they can go back to Chandigarh PCIT, take a fresh authorization from him, or they can approach, say, Ahmedabad PCIT itself, asking him, sir, we already have a say such authorization for this person. The other building is also owned by the very same person. You issue an authorization because this building falls within your geographical jurisdiction. So you can issue, and then that Ahmedabad PCIT can issue that authorization. Getting it? Sorry. Okay. Okay. So you got your answer now. Sorry. Okay. So support team, can we wind up or should we wait for some more time? From my side, it is over. There are no queries coming. Okay. Thanks for the feedback. Thank you. Thank you.